every year.
Everywhere.
Disasters strike.
How ready are you?
What should you do to stay safe?
What kind of choices will you make to survive?
I don't think I'm ready.
We're putting your response to the test.
I don't know where my other cat is.
From coast to coast to coast.
Your bag should be ready with the documents.
A marketplace survival guide you don't want to miss.
We're knocking on doors in Halifax, where Hurricane Lee is bearing down. Hi.
Hi.
Hello, I'm Travis from Marketplace.
Rahul, nice to meet you.
Testing people on the spot to see who's ready and how they respond. Are you guys prepared for a disaster?
Yeah, we're trying. We've had a lot of notice for this one.
We did go out and buy cases of water, canned goods, things like that.
You know, Hurricane Lee is coming to Nova
We are
Scotia.
prepared.
Yeah.
Most seem to think they're ready to shelter in place, but we're here to test the unexpected. If you needed to get out of this house in 5 minutes, would you be able to?
I guess so. We can manage.
We can
Okay,
manage.
you've got 5 minutes. Go. Starting right now. Go.
Oh my God. Everything we need. Probably sneakers. I don't think I'm ready.
I don't know where my other cat is. I'd grab my cat if I could.
Only a quarter of Canadians say they've taken steps to prepare for disaster. Even as climate change changes our reality and increases the danger.
People drove through walls of flames.
It's not clear at this point how big a wallop Hurricane Lee will bring.
More people could have to leave their homes quickly.
But the destruction that was Fiona a year ago is still fresh on the mind.
Med kit.
Come on, come on, come on.
Passports. What else does a gal need?
Jeff Donaldson is an expert in emergency preparedness.
We don't want individuals to have a hurricane plan, a wildfire plan, a flood plan, because it becomes too complex. The reality of preparedness is we work towards 2 scenarios: people who prepare for the power outage and evacuation. And if you look at it as a continuum, if you plan for the extremities of the continuum, you're more than likely to be ready for anything that may happen in the middle.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
3 minutes to go, guys.
It-
Back inside, the testers have different ideas when it comes to grabbing the essentials. That's a lot of stuff. Okay. Boy. Yeah, 4 minutes left. You got the wine, okay.
Oh my gosh. I mean, if we're being evacuated, I'm just grabbing my purse. I've got my phone.
With 2 minutes to spare, but it's gonna take probably 2 minutes or more to get that stuff out.
Out, yes.
Okay.
Our expert Jeff offers his assessment.
You grabbed a lot of the essentials. You had the extra clothing, you had your communication device, you remembered some food for the dog, you had water. They did really well.
His one real bit of advice: plan ahead and make a list.
Create that list in times of peace, because at times of high stress, you become forgetful.
Jeff gives them a 7 out of 10. Our mom and son team don't fare as well.
I
What's
did drop
there?
my wallet,
You dropped your wallet.
and I didn't go back for it.
Okay. So what
So-
do you have other than a bag there?
Oh. Nothing?
Okay. Her son did grab a small cooking set and first aid kit, but Jeff only gives them a 5 out of 10. Did this make you think about how to prepare for a disaster differently?
Because I feel like I was quite chaotic because I had no idea what to grab.
That was not the case in this household.
They did exceptionally well. You hit all of the main categories. The kids' toys, fantastic ad. An evacuation can be a very stressful time. And for kids, they de-stress a lot with their toys.
Jeff gives them a solid 9 out of 10. Can I ask what this is? What's in here?
Oh, this is my emergency kit.
Okay.
So even let's say we get few seconds, this is all I will always take with
carry
me.
it with us.
So
Can
it
we open
has
it for a sec?
like our documents,
all passports,
cards.
everything.
That's exceptional.
Sometimes, though, it doesn't matter what you grab when nature decides to punish.
We have houses starting to wash away here.
July 21st of this year, Nova Scotia is hit by record rains, a summer's worth in a single day.
This is crazy stuff like we've never seen before.
It triggers flash flooding across the province.
Yes, there's somebody in the car. They're going down the river.
But alerts are slow coming.
We have a child that's gone in the water.
He had his new bike, and he biked to school on it.
That storm changes the lives of Tara and Chris Cisco forever. Is it tough to look at his stuff? Their 6-year-old son, Colton, is swept away in the flooding.
We snuggled all the time, and he was a really good snuggler. And I miss that.
Oh, we just had fun together. We just did all kinds of things.
The night of the storm, Colton is staying with his dad in nearby West Hants. Tara is working an overnight shift.
My phone rang, and it was Tara calling to ask me to check to see if there's a lot of water. I sat up in bed and put my legs over the bed, and I put my feet in water.
By the time Chris gets his bearings, danger is at the door.
I turned on the outside light to look at the door where my truck was parked. Yeah. And the shed went by.
It kind of just pushed everything off.
Here is where the tragedy unfolds.
The truck with the kids was right there in that little divot. Chris?
With their kids in tow, Chris and his neighbors desperately attempt to escape the flooding in a truck.
When the truck spun around, it just basically drove into the field, down over the bank, because there was no ground to hold it up anymore. And it went in the water. We started rolling the windows down, and then it went underwater.
In the commotion that follows, everyone is separated by currents. Colton and his friend Natalie are lost. How important was the timing of all of this? Like, had you been alerted?
If I would have had 5 more minutes, he probably would still be here. If we would have had a few more minutes, there would have been less water because the water rose as time went on.
Do you think that we've got a system right now
that doesn't work? Absolutely.
And it sucks that I was the alert, and I shouldn't have to be the alert. I shouldn't have to be the alert that was too late to save my boy.
We take that message and head to Nova Scotia's Emergency Management Office. As Hurricane Lee moves closer.
We're prepping for Hurricane Lee at the moment.
John Lohr is the minister responsible for emergency management.
We work closely with Nova Scotia Power here in our Provincial Coordination Center.
Paul Mason is the office's executive director. This is the room where emergency alerts are coordinated. Gentlemen, I want to play you some audio from July. So, what happened that night of flooding?
An emergency alert put out for West Hants area for people to shelter in place at this time. We need people to stay off the roads.
So their first call there was at 1:12, and it wasn't until after 3 a.m. that an emergency alert from EMO was actually put out. Why is that?
When it comes to the emergency alerts, the process is that municipalities request it from us.
As it stands, only designated local officials can request an alert. The person who was slated to make that request was in the flood.
It can be challenging when there's communication impacts like we had on that night, but that's why, because if you put an alert out too quickly, telling someone to shelter in place when they're at risk of a dam breaking, then obviously that can put lives at risk.
But why is it not okay to put a general alert out saying there's an emergency situation going on? Why can't that be put out? Why does it have to take 2 hours?
I hear your point, but at the end of the day, the municipality has the best situational awareness.
The province is now conducting an internal review of its alert system. Hurricane Lee is at the doorstep of Nova Scotia. Has anything in the alert system changed between when these people died, children died, and today?
So the reality is we have one of the most active, robust alert systems in the country. And we're
It didn't work for multiple
but
families.
nothing is perfect, and we are reviewing it and making it better.
After that interview, Lee makes landfall, no longer a hurricane, but bringing winds strong enough to knock down trees, cause flooding, and cut power for tens of thousands. Wind events are also wreaking havoc in parts of the country where they weren't as common.
Oh my God, I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Adam, the roof is gone.
We're in southwestern Ontario, traditional tornado country, to find out if we're doing enough to stay safe. Inside something called the Windy Dome at Western University. you're watching a tornado form over a scaled-down neighborhood. Sensors measure wind pressure exerted on the houses. This one-of-a-kind research facility is all about the science of wind, helping design better homes that can withstand tornadoes. Joining me is Windy director Gurma Bitomlak. Okay, so this is gonna give us a pretty good representation of where all this debris is gonna go.
Yes.
This foam will show how debris adds to the danger of strong winds. All right, so we got our neighborhood set. I'm gonna put my glasses on and...
Let's hit it.
So this was an actual tornado. This would be trees everywhere.
Yes. Trees everywhere, broken roofs everywhere. Homes are not designed for tornadoes.
Why is that?
Because it is considered very rare event, you know? It's no longer a rare event, you know? It is happening more often, and it is happening where the population is residing, and it is causing already real damage, you know? Then we have to start designing for it.
Bitomlak says we should also be retrofitting homes, so all have some kind of storm shelter, if no basement. But it's not just buildings that need to get better sooner. It's Canada's tornado alert system.
Getting a warning out is in a timely way is the most important thing.
Dave Sills is a tornado researcher at Western who says Environment Canada takes too long.
A lot of times we go to a damaged site after a tornado has occurred and the people tell us, well, we didn't get the warning until after the damage had already happened.
Sills' new study shows Environment Canada fails to meet its own targets. People are given at least 10 minutes warning a tornado is coming less than 20% of the time. 2/3 of tornadoes have no warning at all. The agency says it's working to improve its predictions with new weather radars, but will also consider Sills' report in its future planning.
We have to give people the chance to do something before the tornado hits and, you know, just be issued in front of a tornado at all.
Do you think lives are at risk?
Certainly, yeah.
Experts say we should expect more and worse disasters going forward. So why aren't we ready for them? People felt that your office was downplaying how serious it could get. This is your marketplace. Natural disasters in Canada are growing and getting worse. To the west and north, an unprecedented summer of wildfires. We're in what's left of a small community called Enterprise in the Northwest Territories, looking for lessons in the ashes. Residents flee in mid-August as flames consume their homes. All that's left are skeletons of people's belongings, like this boat, reduced to ashes. You walk over here, there's a charred car. This looks like it was an ATV, but the fire was so intense, it melted almost everything away, including some of the aluminum that just seemed to flow out like liquid. It gives you an idea of the fact that people, kids, lived here and played here, and you don't have to look much further than to see this. A burnt-out kid's bike. It's the worst fire season in recorded history. This wouldn't have been flat land before the fire.
No, it was just a forest here.
And to Roy Fabian of Hay River, history is everything.
I grew up on the land. As a child, I was taught that without the land, we're nothing as tiny people. All our beliefs, our values, our knowledge, and our skills come from the land. And to see it burnt up like that, it's difficult to see.
Roy is a Dene elder who's been evacuated 3 times in less than 2 years. A sure sign, he says, we're out of harmony with Mother Earth. What's the Earth telling us?
Well, we're not doing the right thing. The issue is that we're creating. And this is something that climate change experts are saying. They predicted all this stuff is going to be happening. And it's playing out now. And yet, are you and I changing our behaviors?
We're heading further north across Great Slave Lake to Yellowknife, an entire capital city driven out by fire. What lessons has disaster taught here? After weeks away, people are happy to be home, but emotions are raw.
I was scared and never went through it before. It's just so a little bit was overwhelming. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Did you feel prepared for the evacuation?
No, nothing.
Why not?
Well, I wasn't expecting it.
Sentiments that echo the confusion from when they first fled.
There's no set plan. There's nothing we're following that's telling us exactly what to do. We're kind of making this up on it as we go.
Surprisingly, there never was any real plan for evacuation. So we head to City Hall to ask why. Mayor Alty, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Rebecca Alty has been mayor of Yellowknife for 5 years. Looking back now, would you call the evacuation process a success?
I would say, there were no injuries. Everybody got out in time.
My understanding, though, is that there wasn't an evacuation plan in place.
There was an evacuation framework. That's
but
where
it wasn't detailed enough. The plan was to shelter in place, but then the fires get closer, and the territory orders everyone out. People felt that there was a sudden panic.
Yeah, so that's where the after-action review is important, looking at our emergency plans and responses and what should have happened and what did happen.
There's a bit of a blame game going on. What message do you have for Yellowknife residents who have lost faith in your government?
Trust takes time to build back, but we'll keep working.
The biggest lesson learned around here? Don't sweat the small stuff and be ready for the big stuff.
I'd recommend to just kind of go with the flow and one day at a time.
So my bag is still ready with the documents.
And if disaster strikes again, you just might have to rely on yourself.
I hope it never happened, but even if it's happened, we are ready.
But are we ready for the big one?
There might be hundreds or maybe even 1,000 people killed in that event.
We find out what it means to be caught in a quake.
Get more Marketplace. Sign up for our weekly newsletter at cbc.ca/marketplace.
This is your marketplace. Disasters result from extreme weather events. But sometimes there are other factors at play. In British Columbia, where wildfires have burned like never before, earthquakes are brewing. This chunk of land we're on outside Victoria is home to a fault line.
I'll get the survey started here.
Professor Ed Nissen and his students discover it a few years back.
Do you want to set up the rover?
It could be the epicenter of the next big one.
You can actually see it right behind you there.
The real question is, when?
The next earthquake on this fault might be 1,000 years from now, but it could also happen tomorrow.
What's it going to feel like for people in Victoria?
So people would be feeling intense shaking. It's estimated that a major earthquake of magnitude 7 on one of these crustal faults could collapse several thousand buildings. There might be hundreds or maybe even 1,000 people killed in that event.
And there won't be any warning. Because this is how fast a magnitude 7 earthquake travels, 10 kilometers in 3 or 4 seconds. That's how powerful a quake was in Christchurch, New Zealand last decade. It's about the same size as Victoria, and billions of dollars later, they're still rebuilding.
Anything pre-1970s is unsafe unless it's been retrofit.
Professor Nissen says Victoria is in for a similar fate if there's not more action. So this is a red brick building. What's needed is buildings like this furniture store, retrofitted to stand up to disaster.
So you're taking an old vulnerable building and you're engineering it so that it should withstand the shaking in a big earthquake.
So, what does a big quake feel like?
Thanks for having us.
We're at the Toronto Rehabilitation Institute to find out.
Like this?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Their Kite Falls lab has been set up just for us to simulate a high magnitude earthquake.
Okay, so I have not been in here before. What you're about to see is gonna happen in real time, and I haven't had any practice. So in an earthquake, your instinct is probably gonna be to get up and get outside. So let's give it a go.
Shaking like this could be strong enough to bring down a neighborhood. And this is what you should not do in that event.
The best advice is to drop, cover, and hold on. So that's what I'm gonna try to do now. Get from this couch to under that table in case something falls on top of me.
I'm dropping before the earthquake drops me. Crawling for cover under a table. Holding on until the shaking stops.
Whoa. Broke the table.
Back in Victoria, the kids have learned that lesson thanks to province-wide practice, especially since hundreds of schools have yet to be retrofitted.
What do you do if there's an earthquake?
Go under a table, hold, and cover.
Maybe you can't stop earthquakes from happening.
We put down what we're doing, go straight under our desks, and go like this.
But you can be ready for them.